Hi, everybody. Matt here from Matt Likes Comics. I have a topic I find interesting today, and some other people may find it interesting. A lot of people get wrapped up when they're doing videos and stuff with the main stories of the books because that matches the cover usually, and thus makes for a more cool thing. Well, today I'm doing something a little different. I'm going to talk about a backup feature that appeared for a couple years from 1980 to 1982. This is a feature that was in DC Comics Presents. Okay? Now, DC Comics Presents was a book that came out starting in 1978. DC issued it because of the popularity of the Batman team ups in Brave and the Bold, the popularity of Superman and Batman in World's Finest, and the popularity over at Marvel of Marvel Team Up and Marvel 2 in 1 convinced DC that there was room for another team up book. So they decided to do a Superman team up book because in 1978, excuse me, in 1978, Superman was still their best selling hero. So this is the origin of DC Comics Presents, the book. Now, fast forward to September of 1980. DC has just raised their cover prices from 40 cents to 50 cents, inflation. As a result of that, DC decided to add 8 pages of story, of actual story, to every issue. To go with, so that they took a little less ads and they've added some pages to the books, which is pretty cool. In the case of DC Comics Presents, for this, they added a feature called Whatever Happened To. And then you saw characters. They would tell a story about what happened to that character who has disappeared for one reason or another. No one knows what the fate was. In a lot of these cases, they're Golden Age characters who were having a renaissance because a lot of them were appearing in All-Star Squadron, which started in 1980. So you were seeing a bunch of characters that hadn't seen the light of day in years and years and years. And in some cases, they were not even being seen at all, and they were brought back simply to make sure. At the time, the copyright law, they had until 1982, I think, to get the copyright law of 78 to kick in. So they were reusing characters to make sure they still had the copyrights to the characters. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you the covers and tell you which character was in the back. These were between issues 25 and 48, generally speaking, of DC Comics Presents at the time. However, they did skip a few issues when the main feature had a longer story. In fact, I think it was, 41 as well. I should skip, yeah. In fact, from the things, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 books that they skipped over this span. So I'm going to only show the covers of the books that have Whatever Happened To so-and-so in them. Most of them have a reference on the cover to the story. Some do not. But I will mention who the person is in the story. Right here, DC Comics Presents 25 is the first one. And as you can see, it was Our Man. Now, Our Man was being used in a little bit in All-Star Squadron, but only in past things. At the time, he was still not around very much. He started getting used more once he made this appearance. So, Our Man. Now, the next book is a big one, but it's big for another reason. This is number 26. We all know this as the first appearance of the new Teen Titans, but it also has the feature right here. It's advertised right here. What happened to Sargon the Sorcerer? Now, Sargon made 2 quick appearances in of about 2 issues each in All-Star Squadron. So the character was briefly revived then too. Next up, we have DC Comics Presents 27, which is also the first appearance of Mongo. But in this one, it was Kongorilla was the focus. Now, Kongorilla doesn't appear again until a story that I've actually done a video on before in Action Comics 552-ish, where as a member of the Forgotten Heroes. He doesn't make an appearance again until then. But it wasn't that long after this book, so he was remembered. Next up, DC Comics presents the number 28. And this one is Whatever Happened to Johnny Thunder, Lawman. So that's the Western Johnny Thunder, not the one with the Thunderbolt. That's a good one. This is a good book, period. You should have it. Next up, number 29, Whatever Happened to Dr. Midnight. I love these covers. Just look at the Spectre on that one. Isn't he awesome? This here, number 30, it's the Golden Age Atom, and he actually got a big chunk of the cover on the thing. This is probably my favorite one. Knowing the history of comics like I do. This is DC Comics 31. Superman is teaming with Robin. But the Whatever Happened to is Robot Man. And Robot Man's assistant is Chuck Grayson, cousin of the Earth 2 Dick Grayson. So I just thought that was an interesting combination. And if you read the story right till the end, there's an interesting twist. This here is DC Comics Presents 32. Superman and Wonder Woman cover, making out. But the special character in this one is Prince Raman and Mark Merlin. Whatever Happened to Him. Next up, number 33. This one is Whatever Happened to Star Hawkins. And I'm going to admit that I never heard of the character until I saw this book. I had no idea who Star Hawkins is. Even to this day, I don't remember much about him. This one would probably be a favorite of a guy I happen to know, Steven, due to the fact that the extra Whatever Happened to is one of his favorites, Rex the Wonder Dog. And there he is at the top. Next up, we have another interesting one where you have DC Comics Presents number 36, Superman and Starman, and the Whatever Happened to is Starman Ted Knight. At least I believe so. Let's take a quick look. That's what my notes say. I may be off. Now that I think about it. Yes, I apologize. The Starman they were referring to is the Starman here. I didn't run through this at the time. So let's take this one off and take this off the list. My apologies, because now that I see who's in it, like, I don't remember that story. Why did my my website tell me this. Okay. Next up. So 36 is a skip. 37 here has Whatever Happened to Rip Hunter, Time Master. And it was kind of cool because Rip Hunter is another one of those forgotten heroes, as in that story that I talked about later. But also, his character on television at the beginning of Legends of Tomorrow, I wish he had continued more on the series. The series was really good when he was involved. The next one we've got is significant. And it is significant because this one won the 1980, whatever year it came out, 81, I guess. October 38. Yeah, it would have been 81, 82. Whatever year it was, I could look it up, but really I'm just going to go. It won an award for the best short story in a comic book of 8 pages or less. And this is probably the best of the backup stories. This is the Crimson Avenger. And for those that don't know, the Crimson Avenger is considered, certainly he's DC's first costume hero, and he's considered, depending on what you feel, to be the first costume hero ever. Some other people say it's another character or two, but there's like 3 other characters that they think might be. But he's definitely DC's first one. He appeared in Detective Comics 22, and he was a member of the 7 Soldiers of Victory with Green Arrow and Starman and such. This is number 39. And in this issue, it is Whatever Happened to Richard Dragon, Kung Fu Fighter. Now, number 40, I like this one too. I like this book overall. It's Superman and Metamorpho, but in terms of what we're looking for, it's Whatever Happened to the Original Golden Age Airwave. And Airwave does make an appearance in All-Star Squadron. However, I will say this about the Airwave people. To me, it creates one hell of a question with regards to continuity. And the reason I say this is the original Airwave is the uncle of Hal Jordan of Earth 1. Yet the original Airwave was born on Earth 2 and did migrate. So either his brother came and Hal is a descendant of a person from Earth 2, or there really were 2 Larry Jordans that they didn't talk about. The second Airwave, of course, is the son of the original one, and does talk about how he's a cousin to Hal Jordan in the comics, and that's why I make the connection. Excuse me. So I'm just pointing this out as one of those weird continuity things that the more you get into comics and the more you read comics, you think, how does that all work out? Luckily, we had Crisis, and none of this exists anymore, right? Number 42. This one is Whatever Happened to the Sandman. And I love that they use this gas mask one, because what happened in continuity was that the Sandman wore this first. Then he wore the outfit designed by by Diane Belmont when he had Sandy. Then Sandy was gone, and he went back to the original outfit later in life. For example, in America versus the Justice Society, you see him in the original gas mask costume. And again, a lot of this stuff is around the same time. The early 80s had a resurgence in Justice Society characters because of All-Star Squadron. And they were in books everywhere else. Now, the next 4 issues are skipped. There are none. We are down to the last 2. And the next one is in yet another big book. And this is Superman. DC Comics presents Superman and the Masters of the Universe. It's not on the cover, because Mattel wouldn't allow them to do it. But the backup feature is Sandy the Golden Boy speaking about Sandman. I will say that Sandy the Golden Boy is the most ridiculous story I've ever read. It's just absolute silly. I don't know if they were punking me or, well, punking the people or what. Because comics, yes, but it was ridiculous. I'll let you read it and decide on your own. And the very last one of the feature, issue 48, was what happened to Black Pirate and his son. Black Pirate was a character that made his debut in Sensation Comics 1, and to be honest, wasn't used very much after Sensation Comics was done. This is one of the characters I'm talking about that they used to keep their copyright. So, those are the books that have the feature in it. It was fun. At the end of the run, however, the main stories were shorter in the issues where they had the backup features because they lost the extra pages. And by then, in the United States, the books were 60 cents as well. I think they were in Canada for a brief period then, because there's not too long after that I started having 75-cent Canadian price variants. So I have the whole run of DC Comics Presents. But I always liked those little stories because, again, I've always liked the characters. I have the entire run of All Star Squadron as well, and I've read the characters. As I said, they focused mostly on Golden Age, but there are a couple like Rip Hunter and Congorilla that were Silver Age creations. Although I think Congorilla started in the late Golden Age or that Atomic Age period. I think he started in the early 50s. I know he was going on till at least 1959. Probably later. And of course, Richard Dragon is a Bronze Age hero. But, and the Johnny Thunder Vigilante is a really good character. Okay? It's the Vigilante. It's not the Vigilante that ended up in the Seven Soldiers of Victory. It's yet another one. DC had 3 characters named Vigilante in pre-Crisis that I remember. There's this one, Johnny Thunder. There's Greg Saunders. He was the one that was in the Seven Soldiers of Victory, and of course, the third one being Adrian Chase, the one we've all seen in Peacemaker. If you've watched the show, he is the latest and the most deadly. The other 2 would not, well, they would try not to kill. If they killed, it was by accident. But they were trick shooters, trying to shoot the guns out of their hands. Because, good guys. If you like what you see today, please like, subscribe, and comment below. Particularly, I want comments if you've read them, what you've thought of them, or if you'd like to read them. DC Comics Presents from issues 1 to about 80. For the most part, were great books. It started getting a little stretched after 80. The book went to 97. Some of the characters they used after issue 80 were not the greatest. In this first half, they used like Aquaman, Black Canary, like again, very Brave and the Bold type things. The Atom, like there are a few good characters, mostly Justice Leaguers, but sometimes they have the Shazam family. They have the Global Guardians in one that is skipped. But overall, it's a fun series, and people should read 1 or 2 of them. Plus, for such a short series of 97 books, there are five keys. 2 of them are medium, and 3 that are major that everybody should be aware of that they should get. Okay? For example, that 47 is the first appearance of He-Man in comics. And thus leading to that 16-page, for that era, that 16-page insert that was in other books. For example, DC Comics Presents 51. Anyway, thank you very much for taking the time to watch and join me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. My name's Matt, and I like comics, and I hope you do too. Have a great one.